The storyteller, a 32-year-old gentleman, shares his tale of his initial serious relationship and marriage. After completing college, he lived independently, working typical jobs for standard pay. His final job paid $3,500 monthly, and he accepted additional night shifts on weekends for an extra $1,000, totaling $4,500. He rented an apartment in a large city, while his parents possessed property in a smaller town. His partner, a 28-year-old lady, worked a normal job earning $2,500 per month. She possessed an apartment in the city, a gift from her parents. She adored traveling, spoke English fluently, and enjoyed horseback riding. She favored warmer climates and disliked the lack of sunshine in their city. She was imaginative, clever, attractive, charismatic, and articulate. They cohabited in her apartment for 2 years harmoniously. The storyteller did household tasks, prepared meals, and looked after her when she was unwell. Her father had a neutral opinion of him, while her mother believed she needed a better man, but treated him well to avoid upsetting her daughter. During a beach holiday abroad, he proposed, and they had a calm discussion about their future. He vowed to support her, assist with having a child, and strive to enhance their financial well-being. She agreed after 2 days. They had a wedding using their own savings. She didn't want a wedding, preferring to register their marriage and go on a honeymoon. The storyteller wanted a wedding more for his mother's sake. There were many disagreements and quarrels about the wedding, which she hated but did for him. A psychologist advised her to compromise if she loved him. Organizing the wedding themselves was challenging. The storyteller took out a loan to buy missing furniture for the apartment before guests arrived. Although she was against loans, he explained it was necessary and the amount was small. Their family budget was entirely under her control, and he transferred every penny to her, keeping only money for commuting and lunches. They went shopping together due to the shared budget. He never gave her any expensive gifts for her birthday, but they always celebrated at a restaurant. He often gave her flowers for various occasions and tried to live with her in her apartment so that she had to do almost nothing around the house. Although she wanted to help, he refused or gave her easy tasks. They frequently traveled to different countries, which she loved and lived for. He didn't object, wanting her to be happy while also seeing the world. The wedding in February went well, except for one guest who drank too much and needed an ambulance. 2 weeks after the wedding, there was a major quarrel because some guests told the storyteller that his wife had looked down on them with prejudice. His wife denied this. The storyteller asked his wife to talk to those people and explain her behavior. She met with them, and it turned out the guests were mistaken, but the couple still had a scandal. In March, they realized they lacked financial prosperity. They wanted to buy their own housing in a city with lower real estate prices and better ecology for his wife and their future child. However, money was an issue. The storyteller struggled to find a well-paying job, often getting only as far as interviews. They both worked, trying to support themselves and save, but they understood their income was insufficient to buy an apartment and a car. They were principled against taking loans. The storyteller realized he might not be able to implement their plans, but also understood his wife needed to have a child as a 28-year-old woman, especially given her weaker health due to being born prematurely. Waiting for him to earn money wasn't an option as time was passing. Dear viewers, more than 90% watch my content without subscribing. If you still have not subscribed, then I ask you to do so. For me, this is the best motivation to continue. The one-bedroom apartment, bought by her parents, was small. She didn't want to have a child, as it wouldn't increase their money, and there would be no privacy with children in a small apartment. She felt she couldn't rely on him financially, and was unsure about him in terms of finances. She would be completely dependent on him during maternity leave, and he would have to support her and the child. He understood the responsibility that would fall on him, and wasn't giving up, ready to work hard for the family's well-being. She also said she wanted to work hard for the family. It was difficult, but few things in life came easily. Her mother wanted her daughter to be happy with him. At the end of April, the storyteller experienced a deep 2-week depression, losing touch with reality. He started showing partial indifference to his wife and household chores, not caring what would happen next. He would come home from work and lie on the couch. She began to say she didn't feel like anyone was waiting for her at home. They had dinner with brief conversations. He wanted to be silent and say nothing. Then he noticed she often went to the bathroom with her phone and stayed there for a long time. He thought she just needed to go sometimes, She forgot her phone, and he handed it to her without any suspicious thoughts. Their relationship was initially built on complete trust. She hadn't gone to the bathroom so frequently before. Then she started coming home late from work, an hour and a half, or 2 hours late. He would ask where she was, and she would say she was delayed by her boss, missed the train, or stopped by the mall, among other stories. He worried about her, as it was late. For 2 weeks, she tried to cheer him up and understand the reason for his sad, upset mood. He told her it was just her imagination and everything was fine. Then she also let everything take its course. After 2 weeks, he said their relationship had deteriorated after the wedding, and they had become somehow cold to each other, which he felt. She agreed. Then he criticized her a couple more times. The dishes weren't washed, the bed wasn't made, the house was dirty and messy. He questioned what kind of housewife she was and why she didn't maintain order in the house. She became angry and, in a state of rage, sent him a message saying she wanted a divorce, including the schedule and address of the registry office. He was shocked. How could she do this suddenly? Didn't she value what they had? Writing about divorce was the last point in a relationship when all attempts at reconciliation had been exhausted. Why not solve the problem? If one person was sick and the other healthy, as a wife, she should help her husband get out of depression. A man should be strong, but men also break down. He was broken by working nights after the wedding, lack of sleep, and irregular working hours. His wife didn't believe in him. He worked, but she didn't want children, and he understood that his wife was also tired. They didn't communicate for 3 days. He added her to his blacklist. 2 days later, he made a fateful mistake, not knowing what he was doing. He told his mother that his wife wanted a divorce, wanting to share with a loved one. He only told his mother about the divorce, hiding the reasons. He told his mother for information purposes, saying she should under no circumstances tell his wife or her mother about the divorce. But his mother, in order to prevent them from doing something rash, decided to help and called his wife's mother to talk to her daughter. His wife's mother called his wife and asked what the hell was going on. Then his mother took it upon herself to send a message to his wife to come to her senses and not take hasty actions. This led to a huge string of new family problems in addition to the existing ones. After the battle, there was a lull in May. Calm days of reflection followed. After all this, it hit him like a blow to the head. He began to come to his senses and return to reality. He and his wife began to figure out the reasons for all this. She couldn't understand why he had the wedding for his mother's sake, why she had to apologize to guests from his side who imagined something, and why he told his mother about their conflicts. He answered all the questions, but couldn't answer the last one, why he shared the problem with his mother and involved her in their family issues. He told his wife he had shared without thinking, some kind of delusion had happened. He asked his mother not to tell anyone, but she did. His wife asked how she could look his mother in the eye now, how she could eat pies and kiss her when they met, after the message from his mother. He suggested the option of not communicating with his mother, saying time heals everything and it would pass. But she said she didn't want that, and besides, her own mother was also offended by his mother. Why did his mother speak so badly of her daughter? Dear viewers, I ask you to subscribe to the channel under this video. I will be very grateful to you. The conflict between the mothers and the hostility of the narrator's wife towards his mother persisted. In May, his wife's mother visited. A month prior, the narrator had quit his side jobs to spend more time with his wife, as they barely saw each other due to his work. Only during dinner. They desired to be together more. Then they went on a trip during the May holidays. There, the narrator showed all his tenderness and care for her, but she was already distant and closed off. He wanted to make amends and didn't want to lose her. She communicated with him but was a different person. On the trip, they again discussed their relationship. She told him she wanted to live separately for a while after returning home. He agreed. When they arrived home, her mother met them at the train station. The narrator helped with the bags. The mother was also not talkative. Usually she interacted differently with him. 2 days later, while his wife's mother was staying with them, the narrator decided to apologize to his wife and her mother for his indifferent, depressed behavior. After apologizing, his wife's mother said she had made her conclusions and that her daughter had not become his family. He argued that he did everything for her daughter. Yes, he didn't earn millions, but he loved her, and his behavior was some kind of delusion. The mother went to another room. The narrator and his wife started to sort things out, audible to the mother. He asked his wife to give him a chance to fix everything. He wanted her to open up to him, but she didn't give him a chance. He spoke persuasively, in a heightened emotional tone. He asked his wife what she wanted right now. She said she wanted a temporary separation. He said there were no temporary separations. Temporary meant forever. She was silent. He realized he needed to leave, got dressed, and left. The next day, he came and took the necessary things. His wife was at work, her mother was home. He had dinner with the mother and waited for his wife. He wanted to kiss her when they met, but she resisted. He thought it was bitter resentment. A week later, in May, during their separation, correspondence with his wife was sluggish and unclear. She responded briefly and reservedly, like a complete stranger. He wrote apologetic words, how bad he felt without her, how much he loved her. He sent a bouquet of her favorite flowers to her work for $1,500, with apologies. Upon receiving the bouquet, she said thank you, and then added that he shouldn't do it again. He asked why. She said the management didn't like it. He reminded her that she herself had told him that he had never sent her flowers at work, hinting for him to do it. Then he added that there were people who gave her flowers for no reason. She accepted them, and never once spoke negatively about management. But as soon as he gave them, she immediately said not to. There was an inconsistency. She said he couldn't be told anything. After that, he really started to get jealous. He began to understand that she probably had someone, but on the other hand, he thought he was winding himself up. A week passed and she said they needed to meet. They met and talked. She asked what he had decided. He said he understood and realized his mistakes and wanted to continue building their family with her. She was silent. He asked what she had decided. She said she was tired of everything and asked him to let her go and not torment her. Let's stay friends. Maybe someday their paths would cross again. He asked if she had someone. She said no one. Then she added that she would be alone for about a year, improve her English, and didn't even know how she could later accept a marriage proposal from another man. After these words, it was like a knife to his heart. They agreed to file for divorce. He thought, okay, maybe she would change her mind. Her mother lived with her the whole time. They met at the registry office and filed for divorce. At the end of May, a month is given for reflection. He came and took all his things from her apartment. She sent her mother away so she wouldn't be there when he was collecting his belongings. He felt sorry for his wife. She had some health problems. In the sorrow and sadness of their separation, he decided to leave her all the wedding money gifted to them. She wanted to split the furniture loan. He wanted to pay it off himself, also not dividing it. He wanted to leave with dignity in her eyes. He did just that. The torturous month of June before the divorce, he was jealous of her. In case of failure, he made the decision to let her go into a new life. His soul ached, his heart hurt. He loved her deeply and couldn't imagine someone else being beside her, kissing and hugging her, sleeping with her. Jealousy and surveillance filled the month before the divorce. Often before, when everything was good, they corresponded via WhatsApp. When she decided to leave him, he started watching when she came online. Her online activity was very high. She came online every 10-15 minutes. With him, she didn't come online so frequently. Her mother lived with her the whole time. At first, he thought she corresponded so often with her mom, but then thoughts began to creep in that she might be corresponding with some guy. Then he thought it was for work, with colleagues. Well, anything can happen. He thought the divorce was like a threat to teach him a lesson so he would be afraid of losing her. He wrote to her like before. She responded like a stranger. He asked about her life. She cut him off with phrases like, "Have a nice day," or, "I'm not prying into your life." She ignored him in every way. He wrote messages. She was online but didn't read them, communicating with someone more important than him. Then, 10 minutes later, she might respond briefly and in an unfamiliar way. On weekdays, she was often online. On weekends, rarely. He asked why she was online so rarely on weekends. She said it was none of his business. This alarmed him. He went to her house for some reason. She lived on the 18th floor. He stood under her windows, at least to see if she was home. The windows were open, meaning someone was home. He stood for an hour. She appeared, looked out the window, and disappeared. He felt better. He realized she was home with her mom. At that time, her mom was still in the city. He left and decided to follow her the next day from her work. He came to her work the next day, thinking he would see her walking alone toward home, sad, or with female colleagues from work. But in reality, everything was different. A man, or even a young guy who didn't shave yet, of slender build, was waiting for her from her work. The problem, as it turned out, was not in the first family crisis after the wedding. She simply lost her feelings for him. She found someone else. Moreover, before he finished moving his things out of her apartment and they weren't divorced yet, waiting a month according to the law, she was already sleeping with and loving another man since the beginning of May. She promptly found a replacement for him. When he observed them, the guy didn't show much desire to hug her. From the observations, it was evident that she was the first to take his arm. She was the first to hug him at the subway station while waiting for the train. She was the first to kiss and show affection to him. He didn't take the initiative alone. If she had feelings for the narrator, they could have survived this crisis, drawing conclusions and not repeating mistakes in the future. But she decided not to bother with the current problems and find a new portion of euphoria, novelty, and love. She communicated with the narrator coldly and unfriendly. What kind of friendly relationship was that? He came to the conclusion that her relationship with this new man did not start developing a month ago. According to his observations, they started in April, and the flirting even earlier. All those late returns from work, all that sitting in the bathroom with the phone. She couldn't tell him directly that she had someone else. She found a psychological approach to break up with him as friends. After what he found out and for all his torment and her constant lies, he decided to take revenge on her. He didn't give her a penny. And he met her lover in a dark alley and gave him a couple of shiners. Maybe it wasn't right, but it made him feel better. As a result, the lover got scared and dumped her. They ended up getting divorced. Now they live separate lives, but he constantly remembers this story.